Are you someone who used to shoot film and kind of miss it? Or are you someone who might be looking to change your style a little bit, do something a little different? Well, I might have a solution for you. Hey, welcome to another video. One of the advantages of having this YouTube channel is, on occasion, I'll be contacted by a company to see if I want to take a look at their product. I don't always say yes, mostly because if I don't think I would use the product myself or it would interest you, then there's really no reason for me to show it. And this is only the second time I've accepted an invitation from someone to take a look at their product. The product is made by a company called Dehancer, and when they reached out to me, I was excited to take a look because they're a film emulation program. In the recent past, I've actually changed my style a little bit when it comes to the color photographs of what I was really doing was almost putting a film emulation over top of some of my images. So when Dehancer reached out and asked me if I wanted to take a look at their program, I said yes pretty quickly. So let me go to the computer and we'll take a look at the Dehancer program. Before we first go into the software and take a look at it, let's take a look at Dehancer's website. This is their front page when you log on. Their products page. They originally started out with this DaVinci Resolve plugin, which is a film emulator, which would be, I think, quite good when you're doing your videos. I think that's where they really started and what they're known for. They also have plugins for the Final Cut and for the Adobe products. And what we're going to be looking at today is under the Photoshop plugin. Now, I'm a Photoshop user. I don't use Lightroom a whole lot, but I did check it to make sure that it also worked well with Lightroom. And it did. It went in and the same interface pops up. So that's their website. They do seem to have pretty good support. They have quite a few guides and some tips. And they also give you an idea of what each one of their tools will do. Say the halation. It'll tell you what it is supposed to do and why it's there. So they do have a pretty robust website. So if you need any kind of information as to what they actually have in their software, you just go here and you look it up and they'll tell you, which is pretty good. All right, let's get to the software. Let's take a look at DaVinci's software now inside of Photoshop. Again, you can also do this in Lightroom, but I'm a Photoshop user. In Photoshop, it's listed under Filter. Now, the one thing you want to do is you want to go into Adobe Camera Raw or even Lightroom and then put it into Photoshop. But you want to do your tweaking before you bring it into Dehancer. At least that's my opinion. I would do all my adjustments for the most part before I bring it into Dehancer. But once you have it all done, Dehancer pops up into its own little application. So it's its standalone box. Over here on the left, it has all the films, the film emulations that you can use. There's over 60 of them. And what you can do is you can pick your favorites. You can pick the ones that are just color negative, motion pictures, black and white, whatever you want to do. It will eliminate down to, if you don't want to look at all the film emulations, you can pick and choose the ones that you want. The other thing you can do up here, you also have presets. You can create your own preset after you make your adjustments over here to the right. You would just hit this button, create a new preset, save it with a name, and then the next time you go in, you can have it'll be under my presets. I just started, so I don't have really any presets in there yet, but that's how you would do it. Over here, you can get rid of your panel if you want. Here are your settings if you wanted to change some of your settings. This will go back. So let's say you made a change over here and you said, nah, I want to go back. That'll restore it. This will reset everything to your defaults, and this will, undo and redo your edits. This will show if you have anything that's clipping. Here they call it the inspector, but to me it's your histogram, which is down at the bottom down here. You can eliminate that if you want. This will show one-to-one what your file size is. Now on your mouse, if you have a little roller on it, you can adjust this with your mouse, which I kind of like. And this is your preview back and forth. If you want to get rid of it and just get out of it, you cancel. And once you want to apply your settings, you just hit OK, and it will save whatever you've done here in Dehancer. So it's pretty easy to figure out. I think the interface is well laid out. I didn't really have too much trouble figuring out how to use it. Within a couple of minutes, I pretty much had it. I can't say I'm an expert in it because of all the different things it does over here, but I'm just saying as far as being able to get around the interface, it's pretty intuitive. And I think you can, if you have any kind of computer knowledge at all, or obviously if you're using Photoshop, you must have some. So this is a pretty easy program, I think, to figure out. This image here, like Bresson says, a moment in time. This was taken in front of St. Patrick's Cathedral in Dublin, Ireland. And this is one of my favorite photos just because of the expression on both faces. And I play guitar, so I play guitar badly, but I play a little bit of guitar, so anytime I see somebody with a guitar, I like snapping a shot. But that kid was riding around on a skateboard, and he sat down he couldn't have been there for more than 5 seconds. And I was actually behind a fence, and I was going to take a picture of the guy playing the guitar. And I happened to notice the kid skating around, and he came down and sat there. He wasn't there more than 5 seconds. 10 seconds tops. I snapped a picture. Fortunately, I had everything already in focus because, like I said, I was going to take a picture of the guitar player. It's just one of those moments in time when you snap it. But anyway, back to Dehancer. You can pick from a variety of film emulations. And like I said, there's over 60, so you can really get a wide variety of looks. The first impressions I've had with this program, it's to me now, for me, and I'm not being paid to say this. They did not tell me what I had to say or what I couldn't say. But to me, there's a lot of work that went into this program. And first impression, it's just well done. It really is. Is this program for everyone? No, I don't think so. I think it's really, if you really want a film emulation look, then this is a very good place to start. But you have to want to have that look to your photograph. A lot of people say that digital images are just too clean. Well, this is one way of maybe changing that a little bit. Me, I started out on film, so I like seeing things occasionally more with a film kind of look. All right, so the top one over here, you have exposure compensation. You can brighten it up a little bit if you want. This will cool it or warm up your photograph, your image. See your tint. If you needed to fringe something, you have that and the radius for it. Now, in order to get these things to work over here, you have to hit this little box. That's how it goes on and off if you don't have this little arrow checked. And the reason why I showed you the website was so that you can go back and look at, rather than me sitting here and explaining each one of these things to you, you can just go to the website and look it up, and it'll tell you what each one of these things is supposed to do. It's a little bit easier for me just because I've used film so much for many years. So I have a little bit of an idea of what a lot of these things will do. If you're just starting out digitally, it might be a good idea to go and look at that website a little bit, especially before purchasing something like this, so that you have an idea of what it is you're getting into. But you can, it's almost like a vignetting, but you can change your black point and your white point. This will just really change your luminosity. Show it in that mode rather than a normal mode. Over here is nice. It'll give you, if you wanted it to look on, say you were printing on a particular picture, it gives you quite a few different options here. So again, just like their website, the program is very robust. It's just well done. It really is. Here you can tone down your saturation if you want, or increase your density. I think one of the now this one over here relates to back in the film days. If you had a color head on your enlarger, you would be able to tweak this. You'd have a better understanding of what all these things do. But this is how color film used to be developed. So again, a lot of these things are so well thought out, and it doesn't really miss a trick. You can increase your midtones. If you just want to, you mess with your reds or mess with your greens, it allows you your RGB, your red, green, blue. But here's really where the program shines, and probably what it's designed most for, and that's your film grains. There's a lot more control in this than there is in the film grain in Adobe Photoshop. And if you want film grain and you want that analog look, this is why you would buy a program like this rather than just using the tools in Photoshop, because you can adjust your grains. You could really make it stand out, or you can make it smaller. You can adjust them just in your shadows and your midtones. I mean, there's a lot of controls in this program that you really don't have just inside of Photoshop. I wanted to jump in here briefly. If you are interested, you could use the code KSM Mike, and that'll get you 10% off on your first purchase. It will also help out the channel a little bit, so I appreciate it. But if you are interested, when you go and take a look at the product, if you put in the code KSM Mike, you'll get 10% off. All right, back to looking at the program. The halation will put like a little halo around things, but I think that there has to be, I think it'll only work in a certain type of image. The other thing that's nice that I found is you can actually, if you wanted to, add dust and add scratches to your image. You see here, because you can make them bigger, add more dust spots if that's something you wanted to do. That's kind of an interesting feature if you wanted to mess around with that. So again, Photoshop isn't going to have something like this necessarily, and it not nearly as easy as what they have here. You can add a vignette, increase or decrease the size of your vignette. And with all the different film emulations that you have over here on the left, this is a film I used to shoot with briefly, the film Kodak Ektar, and I was new to photography. And for people who don't know, with film, like let's say this is Ektar 100, the 100 is your ISO in digital and in film speak. And I was new to photography, and I bought a few rolls of Ektar 25, not realizing that the ISO at 25 was going to slow things down tremendously. And I was trying to shoot sports with Ektar 25 film on a cloudy day. Forget it. The shutter speed had to be slowed down so much because the lens that I was using way back then was like a f5.6 lens, f8, and Ektar 25 film. So my shutter speed was 1/25, 1/30, and I'm trying to shoot action, and I got it back and everything's blurry, and I'm thinking, what the heck? And so I didn't use Ektar 25 film with sports too often after that. It really was designed for landscapes, maybe portraits, but that was a expensive lesson I learned. I did shoot Ektar 100 quite a bit too. The main film that I did shoot was T-Max black and white 100. Unfortunately, I don't see that as one of their emulations yet. Kodak Gold 200 was another one that I used for a while. That was a very good film. I didn't shoot too much of X-Pan or Portra, but they have a wide variety of film emulations. And again, it's a very impressive program. I have to admit, I'm quite impressed with it. I just installed it yesterday, so I haven't used it more than about an hour or two before I started filming this video. But that's how easy it was to learn how to use it. You know, inside of an hour, you're pretty much up and going. And up here, this push-pull, this is when you develop film. If you wanted to overexpose or underexpose your film, like let's say you were my T-Max 100, I want to say it was around 7 minutes is what I exposed it for. So if I wanted to overexpose or underexpose it, I might only develop the film for 5 minutes or might develop it for 10 minutes, depending on the effect that I wanted. I didn't do that quite often, but the push-pull EV, that's what that's for up there. This little one up here. So they really did think of pretty much everything. Again, is this program for everybody? No. But if you want a film emulation program, if you want to have a little analog look to your prints when you print them out, this to me would be the way to go. I'm not one to spend other people's money. I know the Photoshop plugin is $199. However, I don't tell people how they should spend their money, but all I will say is, for me personally, if I was looking for a film emulator, to me, $199, this program's well worth it, at least for me. If I if I was looking for one and I had to go out and buy it, I would have paid the $199. Now, fortunately, they approached me and asked me to do this review, so they gave me an activation key to use this. So I didn't have to pay for this while I'm doing this review. However, again, because if you're looking for a unique look, if you're looking for something to alter your style a little bit, maybe get you out of a rut, and you think, oh, this might be good, this might be a program to take a look at. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me taking a look at Dehancer. Again, is the program for everyone? No, but it's a good program. I think it's very well laid out. And if you are looking for a film emulation application or plugin, I would recommend it. I give it a thumbs up, and I thank Dehancer for reaching out to me, and I look forward to using it on some of my images. And also, don't forget, look for the one for DaVinci Resolve if you do a lot of video work. That one looks very good as well. All right, till next time. If you get a chance, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.